Day one of the federal government shutdown, President Trump and the Republicans locked in a fierce blame game with Democratic leaders. Dave Zavolinsky at the Alert Desk with the latest developments for us and the potential impacts here in the heartland. Dave, it's been like 17 hours so far.
Jacqueline, it's the first full day of the shutdown, and the U.S. Senate was back in session today. However, there was no movement on the shutdown front, despite two procedural votes on the same two measures that failed to pass yesterday. Today's votes ended with neither garnering the 60 votes that would be needed for a passage. That means the federal government shutdown will indeed continue. Amid concerns with the shutdown, we're checking in with the National Weather Service, who have been in the headlines over program cuts for meteorologists at the Hastings branch. It is actually business as usual today.
The government shutdown impacts agencies in different ways. For the National Weather Service, the impacts are minimal to none. In fact, earlier this summer, National Weather Service employees were declared public safety employees and accepted employees, meaning that every person who works for the National Weather Service will be going to work during a shutdown. We'll continue with our mission of weather forecasts, warnings, whatever is needed for the protection of the American public.
Like you heard, under the status of expected employees, they will still be in office, though they likely won't be paid until the shutdown is over. While federal non-essential workers are furloughed, Nebraska Congressman Don Bacon says he submitted a letter to the chief administrative officer of the House to, quote, withhold his net pay until any appropriations agreement has taken effect, end quote. The move would put his congressional pay on hold. However, he should still be able to collect his Air Force retirement. Remember, he's a retired brigadier general. Reporting from the Alert Desk, I'm Dave Zavolinsky.
All right, Dave, thanks for that update today.